Hi guys. What we're going to talk about tonight is, or today, whenever you watch this video, the company strategy. And what we're doing with the company strategy is it's working its way down into the formats as we've talked about. I'll take a picture of this and post it next to the video. And as we're working through our 4 Ps, in essence, that is the difference that we're trying to make between Walmart being mass with a very efficient, tight assortment, Whole Foods having a very unique assortment on fair trade and non-GMO, a place like ShopRite or Price Chopper having a large assortment. That's the format, and that's driven by their strategy. When you're asked about the 2 core components of category management, one is what is the strategy and how is that going to be pervasive through the category management process? And then number 2 is the actual process itself. So you have 2 core components of category management. One is the process and the other one is the strategy. And what I want to talk about in this video, it's going to be a little bit of a shorter video, is the process itself. And this is a long drawn out process, but this is a quick overview of the process. So we will start with our definition. And just like a marketing research plan or anything else, the definition is probably the most important thing we can possibly do with our categories, is understand where we're going on definition, primarily because of the scope. Scope tends to creep. That's what's called scope creep. Scope tends to creep if you don't clearly box in exactly what you are trying to analyze in your category process. And so we spend a long time on the definition of the category. For example, is it pizza? Is it pizza in the meat department? Is it pizza in all categories? Is it pizza that's ready to eat and over and shelf stable where you can make your own? There are a lot of different variables that play into it. So you want to be very specific. You can't just have a dairy category plan. You need to have a very specific yogurt plan, cheese plan, egg plan, and the whole works. And so the definition, we spend a lot of time on the definition, in essence, arguing about what stays in and what goes out. Once you come up with a definition, you have to transition into the role of the category. When you are talking about the role of the category, you in essence have to understand how important that category is to the overall mission and strategy of the company. If this is going to be a destination category, then when you start to assess the category, you have to assess it from the perspective of a overall traffic builder, overall destination, overall impulse, profit generating category, seasonal category. All of those different categories will be how you assess the category, because if you want it to be a destination, then it has to be a fuller category, more assortment, and you have to be, in essence, you can't be beat when it's a destination. So you determine the role, and primarily the role is determined by the leader of the overall category management department, so that you can, because you're, in essence, you are giving up probably some margin in exchange for assortment. And you're probably giving up some pricing power as well. So you have to make sure destination categories are surrounded by traffic building categories and profit categories. So you basically define your role, and then you start to assess. And in your assessment, what is your current state? And you want trends to fit in here a little bit. This is primarily your current state, where you'll also come up with whether or not you have an opportunity gap or a surplus. And these 2 are determined by the market share of the retailer compared to the market share of the category. And if the category exceeds the retailer, then you have a surplus. And if the category is lagging behind the retailer, then you have an opportunity gap. And that is part of your overall assessment. Then you put all of your assessment together in a scorecard. Your scorecard clearly contains the KPIs that are important to you, the key performance indicators that are important to the overall company. You're going to then take your scorecard and develop your strategies. And your strategies they're basically going to have to be driven by what the role of the category is. You see how this is all basically trickling down. You can't have a strategy that's a destination strategy in a convenience role category, because that convenience role category is probably helping out the margin of the other destination categories. You see how that's all fitting. So your strategies, you'll come up with your strategies. They will probably change depending on whether you have a surplus or a gap. And then, as you can imagine, your strategies will work their way into your tactics. Your strategies will be in what we call a stratogram. And can you guess what your tactics would be in? I hear you. A tactogram. And if you're putting the plan together for the shelf, what would you call it? The planogram. We're very simple in this industry. Okay, so your tactics, and then you are going to overall implement your plan, which will take collaboration with your trade. It will take the right systems. It will take the right people. And then once you implement your plan, you go back to a review process and you start all over again. So this is the process driven by the two components of category management, strategy and the process. And here it is. This is your step-by-step process of category management, which we will be covering in more detail in further videos. So have a good night.